I'm Jeff Fritz with SoundStage.com, and I'm here today with Andy Kerr, Bowers Wilkins, Director of Product Marketing and Communications. Did I get that right, Andy?
Absolutely, well done, good job.
Good. How are you today?
Great, thank you. Yeah, we've had a really exciting, busy couple of weeks in terms of all our preparations and rollout for what we're doing right now. But yeah, it's been fantastically rewarding. Thank you.
Well, good. Well, today we're here obviously to talk about the signature loudspeakers that you guys just launched. And, the signature name, it obviously has a lot of meaning for B&W and your global customer base. And I was wondering if you could just start by giving us a little bit of history and kind of place signature in the B&W heritage for us.
Sure. Okay, great question. So, John Bowers, who some of you may know, founded the company, very sadly passed away in late 1987. And as a kind of tribute project to him, the company decided what it would do is take pretty much everything that we knew in then contemporary loudspeaker technology and try and produce like the ultimate version of that. So the original Silver Signature, as it was called, came out in 91. So it took a period, of course, to try and develop it. And essentially, it was like an 805, a then contemporary 805, if you're familiar with that model, but turbocharged. So like every single element of the design that could possibly be optimized was optimized. So it even had, in that particular model, completely external crossover componentry. The entire wiring harness was plated completely with silver wiring all the way through, hence the name. And then it was finished with just the most extreme, bespoke and beautiful, unique finish. At that time, when it came out, it cost more than 4 times the price of a regular pair of 805s. It was a limited edition model, and it was very much a kind of commemoration of John Bowers' life and times, which is why it was called Signature. It was essentially supposed to represent him signing off the product, if you like. So subsequently, we took that philosophy and kind of rolled it across follow-up models that came out to commemorate some significant timelines or events in our history. So we had one on our 30th, one on our 40th. And again, they followed that same model. And we're kind of just attempting to try and, if you like, increase Signature's presence within our brand now. So most of what we're doing with the new models is essentially directly related from the thinking around those original models going way back when.
Okay, and which brings me to my next question, and this is something that I'm just so curious about. You guys chose the 700 series and specifically the 702 and the 705. I'm
Mhm.
curious as to why those models, and I have an idea, I have my own guess, but you have the 800 series, obviously, which is your flagship line. Why would you choose the 700 series to make the signature products from?
Well, let's talk about the specific products first. 702 and 705 obviously have a lot of high performance technology within them derived from the 800 series, as you probably know. So the tweeter on top sort of naturally places them in a very strong position already to succeed. In particular, in the case of the 702, it's also got the fully decoupled mid-range, the floating mid-range assembly, which we again developed from the 800 series. So there's a bunch of real high performance technology in both of those products that could achieve more. I think the other thing that's interesting on that one is sometimes in project track, when we're working on things and developing things, we come across new technologies and new opportunities that we don't immediately have a home for. We don't immediately have something that we want to deploy them in. And that was the exact case here. We were actually working on a completely different project, which I can't discuss today, when we came across some of the technologies that we thought, well, actually, you know what? These are so good and so effective. We'd like to try and bring them out now. So that's why we revisited just a couple of examples of an existing model in the case of the 700 series range. For what we're doing, and in terms of the performance increase that you get for what we're doing, we'd argue that it's a value. It isn't, I don't know, 50% uplift on the price. It's an uplift on the price, but it's kind of commensurate with what you get in terms of the look and the feel, and very definitely in terms of the sound quality.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about the choice is that it keeps this product accessible to more people. You could
Mhm.
you could have put it in an 800 series product, and then the amount of customers worldwide that are going to be able to afford that, it's still going to be significant. But certainly with the 702 and 705 and the list prices, you're gonna reach more customers and allow them to have something that's pretty special to Bowers and Wilkins. And I think that's just a great move.
Yeah, and that's a great point you made there as well. Absolutely agree with you. I mean, I always say to people that in many ways the best value models that we produce or have produced are the 702 and the 705 because they give you that insight into what you get from an 800 series product without obviously the ticket that goes with it. So a lot of the times if I'm asked for just a straight flat recommendation of like I can only afford or can only have time to consider one model of loudspeaker, which one do I go for? I point somebody at particularly 702 because it's just a ton of fun. For what you get in that product, it is an absolute ton of fun.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Well, the next question that I have regarding the signature loudspeaker. So, when I was thinking about this, I kind of envisioned to myself, 4 or 5 Bowers and Wilkins staff sitting around a table saying, "Okay, what are we going to put into these? What is the package of upgrades that are going to comprise the signature models?" And maybe that's not really how how it works, but how do you guys decide on the package that is going to comprise a signature product? Because it seems like you addressed everything, the technology, the parts, the finish, but how exactly does that process work?
Again, you really are not far from the truth, actually, with your imagination. So well done. But I think the reality is we didn't want to change the primary transducers, the drive units, because again, that's consistent with how we've done things in the past. That original model that I mentioned to you, it used existing technology in terms of drive units, and oftentimes that's how we do it. So it's looking at how can you really optimize that? How can you juice it, if you like, to try and get the very, very most out of it from a potential point of view? Just to be clear, guys, it wasn't like we held back, if you see what I mean, back in 2017. The technologies that we're deploying now simply weren't available to us in 2017. But we were aware, if you like, that there was more headroom within the system from the point of view of the quality of the component parts, the quality of the drive units, and with a little bit of extra work, we could potentially release more of its potential. And that's essentially the way to think about it here. So flow of information into the product, flow of information through the product, that's the crossover. That's the work of what that does, and optimizing the components, if replacing the components, upgrading the components is what's delivered the acoustic performance changes alongside some tuning to reflect those new components. Then it's looking at design and finish. Again, we're well aware already, hopefully, it's a Bowers and Wilkins product, so it's a nicely finished product, but we looked to the past, we looked at the historic patterns of design and finish that we'd used in preceding generations of signature, and they'd all had that similar kind of feel of like a bespoke wood finish that was unique, that was distinct to the model. The key point, of course, I don't know if you've said it already, but no two pair are the same. So in terms of the graining and the finishing, they're always differentiated. So you buy a specific pair that's unique and it's unique to you. And that's important. And then that metal highlighting, that metal detailing. And again, that reflects going all the way back through the series, the different models. They've all had that kind of sense of being just that little bit more sumptuous and luxurious. I'll be honest, it doesn't make any bit of difference to the acoustic performance. The part is the same in terms of the construction of it as a black part, but it definitely adds to the look and feel and the prestige of the product, if you like.
Yeah, and you can't really overstate the importance of all of those pieces. I think someone that buys a signature product from you guys, they want everything, right? They want the look and the feel, and I really appreciate too kind of that link to the past models. I think that just, I don't know, that just adds another air of specialness, if you will, to what you're buying. So I appreciate that too. So in terms of availability, are both models going to be available by the time folks see this video, or is it going to be a couple months before you guys go into production? What does that look like?
We are in full production now, and we're beginning to ship now. So you should be seeing quantity stock in your market in probably about 10 days' time, early July.
Great. All right. Well, the last question that I have for you is, and being around the Bowers and Wilkins factory, I'm sure this is going to be an easy one for you. But what is a favorite recent listening experience? And it doesn't have to be there at Bowers and Wilkins. It could be something at home or in your car, or piece of music that you've heard. But what have you heard lately that's just been really special or cool for you?
So just before the lockdown came in, I was up at Abbey Road Studios, where I'm fortunate to spend a fair amount of my time working with the team there, and I was doing an install with Andrew Dubman. Andrew Dubman's one of the chief sound engineer guys. He did some of the mixdown work on movies such as Phantom Menace. amongst many others in his illustrious career, also Lord of the Rings, all of those. And he was doing some playback, and then one of his colleagues came in, a gentleman by the name of Simon Rhodes, and he played me some of his stuff. And I was sitting in Studio One, which is a very large space in the control room of Studio One, pardon me, but nonetheless, without speakers, and he played me a score for a forthcoming film that I hadn't yet heard or seen the film, which was the movie 1917. And it was just so amazing, just so deeply moving, even though I didn't really know the context. It's one of those moments where the sound kind of just stays in your head and obviously has lots of effects on your mental state, your emotional state, but in a positive way, by the way. So yeah, that's a kind of rock and roll kind of afternoon. You know, you don't. Let's be honest, you don't always get those. You know, sometimes sometimes it's more mundane than that. But yeah, that's a day that kind of lives in the memory for quite a long time.
Yeah, I don't think I've been doing these SoundStage talk videos for maybe 6 weeks now, and I'm not sure that anybody's going to be able to top that listening experience and that description. That sounds pretty cool indeed.
It was certainly fun. But as I say, you know, right, that's what we do, right? I mean, we're very fortunate that we have these strong connections with the guys in the studios, and occasionally, you know, we're up there just, you know, kind of having dialogue with them about, you know, next generation stuff. I mean, that's constant and ongoing. But also we're just helping them, you know, provide some feedback on what they're working on. It's a very rich relationship, and obviously very helpful from our perspective. And also, like I say, sometimes it's just fun, right? And that's good too.
Well, Andy, I really appreciate it. I know that, you know, globally everyone's looking forward to, you know, hearing the signatures and seeing them, you know, in their dealers and in their homes. And I appreciate you giving us an update and giving us a little bit of insight on their development and what people can expect. I'm sure it's going to be a pretty exciting time for you guys. Absolutely.
And, you know, I will urge everybody, if you do get the chance, obviously it all depends, fingers crossed things continue to improve, right, guys? But listen to them, especially listen to them in comparison with the standard model, because you will be impressed. I guarantee you're going to be impressed. So hopefully you're going to enjoy that experience.
That would be a good comparison. I would love to make that comparison myself. That would be pretty enlightening, I'm sure. Well, Andy, cool. Thanks a bunch, and we'll talk to you soon.
You're very welcome. Take care.